All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get rolling here at 6:30. And welcome to the, what is the date? May 1st, 6:30 general meeting. Oh, yes, sunbathing.
Yeah.
Sunbathing. It's going to be good. The town of Diamond Valley acknowledges the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy members, Siksika, Pekainai and Kainai First Nations, the Stoney Nakoda, Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Wesley First Nations, the Dene of Tsuut'ina First Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all those that make Treaty 7 lands their home. We have a fairly good agenda here tonight, but before we get going, we have some very official business to do. Miss Veronica Kloiber, Councillor, soon to be Deputy Mayor. Veronica, make that magic happen.
Let's get this going.
All right, do you have to go over to Mr. CAO there and they are going to swear you in?
You want it to be ready?
Yes, definitely.
Not yet.
Very official.
I have to read. I, Veronica Kloiber, do swear and truly declare and affirm that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my abilities execute according to the law the office of Toronto Title. And I have more reading. That's it. All right.
That's it. Quick and
There's
easy.
more here.
I think we should clap. Yeah. I have some small four-legged animals outside that we have to ride after the meeting, you know.
For the sign too.
It's all part of the ghosts, maybe.
Oh.
Yes, miniature. All right, we do have a few additions to the agenda, Mr. Davey. We have one under HR.
That's right, your worship, closed on personal info for FOIP section 17.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Just the two? Oh, I wanted to go to Councillor Thompson. Councillor Thompson, you're on Zoom there somewhere. Did you want to have a discussion around Bill 20 as outlined in your email? I love your lip reading. It really does things for me, but I can't quite tell because
Sorry.
you're not opening your mouth a lot. Yeah, there you go.
You got it. I'd like council
Bill 20.
I'd like to put it forward to add it to the agenda for discussion, and it's regarding Bill 20, municipal affairs statutes, and those are local election rules under the LAEA and some strengthening accountability and accelerating housing development changes. So I put it to council whether they wish to discuss this now. This does come up for second reading on May the 6th. There may be the opportunity to discuss it further, and there may be changes that fall out from the May the 6th reading. So I don't know how far, but I think it's pretty important that we write a letter with our concerns regarding some of the things on the Bill 20 amendments. So I put it to council whether you wish to discuss it today or another, but I think a letter should be sent regarding
All right,
our
we will
concerns.
add it. We'll add it to the agenda
7.6.
7.6. Can I just get a head nod from council on that addition? We're gonna adopt it anyway, but okay, good. All right, done, Councillor Thompson. And so with the additions to the agenda, can I get a motion to adopt that agenda? For Veronica. I'm gonna call her Veronica again. Vern.
Would you please address your consent agenda first? We need to do a motion first.
Well, I guess.
We have you.
You fun one.
Motion to adopt consent agenda for the regular council meeting.
Excellent, thank you. Clerical thing we talked about. All right, so first we have the addition for the consent agenda for regular council. All in favor? That is carried. And now I will get,
2.2
thank you.
as amended.
2 is amended. Verna, all good? So if Verna says it's good, then I'm happy. All in favor? That is good. All right, excellent. We can go back to our regularly formatted screen there. All righty. So let's roll over here.
We thought we would approve the minutes for 2.1 for April 17th.
Nope.
That's part of the consent agenda. So we're right on to question period here now.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. All right, question period is a 15-minute section of the council meeting, which we put aside for the public to ask questions of council or administration for points of clarity. Anything goes. You can phone, text, email, however you want to get the question in, we'll take it. In this case, I have 6 already submitted via email. Is there any others?
That's its support, your worship.
Okay, so I'm just gonna read through these 6 real quick, because they're all pertaining to the exact same thing, and that's the change in ownership for the gas plant to Ranahans. I don't know their company name. Ranahans is all I have them as right now. Resources, there you go, Ranahan Resources. So they bought out the ConocoPhillips portion at the plant. Crescent Point, sorry. So with that, there was some confusion, and so I'll read, and then I'm going to ask our CAO for some correction on that. So to Mayor and Council, this email is in response to the proposed benzene facility transfer to Ranahan Resources, given the potential health hazards to the residents living in the affected areas. What justifies the risk for continuing to have this facility operate within town? I'm asking the Mayor and Council to solicit the perspectives of Diamond Valley residents about this facility, especially those living within the affected areas, and to act to address their concerns. Thank you. To whom it may concern, I just became aware of the potential or proposal for further production of benzene at the Turner Valley gas plant. I strongly oppose any support to be given to the idea of the town agreeing for further production of the benzene for commercial purposes at the aging gas plant in the community. The idea of supporting further production of benzene is contradictory to the town's slogan, back to nature. The idea of going back to nature attracts new residents and tourists to the area, and it promotes healthy living for us all. While the proposed benzene production will act as a barrier for enjoying healthy life in our beautiful town, regardless. To whom may concern, including members of Diamond Valley Council, I'm just hearing about the Provincial Energy Regulator, the AER, approving the transfer of the permit allowing Ranahan Resources to continue producing benzene at the Turner Valley gas plant. Apparently, only residents within 0.75 or 3/4 kilometer of the dehydrator, a gas plant, had to be notified about this. There is certainly lots of evidence of the health risks associated with benzene. Why on earth would we want this? And I find it hard to believe that health risks from benzene emissions end at 0.3 quarters from the gas plant. My husband and I have lived on Sunset for close to 44 years. All of our family live in Diamond Valley. Please do whatever you can to stop this, permit the transfer from happening. A resident of Diamond Valley, Turner Valley, I and others in the community are extremely concerned about the recent announcement that the aging gas plant in the community will now be used to produce benzene for commercial purposes. That this has been allowed ostensibly by the provincial government is unconscionable. Given the known and unknown and uncontrollable hazards for the public health, it is no less significant that the company undertaking this initiative, Ranahan Resources, is or was in fact a satellite entity of Crescent Oil. I cannot recommend strongly enough that Diamond Valley protest this project to the highest levels of office possible. I also strongly recommend that the town declare its opposition to the project by helping to orchestrate public protest to help make this issue visible in the news media. I am happy to help on this initiative in any way I can. Respectfully. Please take our concerns to council meeting. I am personally concerned. My only options are moving out of this area. Not my family or anyone in that circle area needs to be subjected to neglect of our health or well-being. Resident of Diamond Valley, yeah, okay, it's just done in Boulder. So we have 6 concerns in regards to the exact same thing, and that's the transfer of Ranahan Resources taking over Crescent Point Oil, which is totally not in the town's realm at all whatsoever. It's nothing to do with us as a town. So a few options that we could do for the public. in regards to the notifications that went in.
Yeah, thanks, your worship. So, yeah, Friday, the town became aware of this too via newsletter, as all those residents within 750 meters were as well. So like you mentioned, your worship, yeah, it is between the province and the company. But perhaps what we could do, we could certainly reach out to Ranahan Resources, their emergency management firm, bring them all together, and see if they'll come to council, make a delegation, answer questions and that kind of thing. So if that would be the council's direction, I'd look for a motion for that and we invite them in.
Okay, council, any thoughts?
Hello.
Yes, Heather, go ahead.
I just wonder if another option, bring them in, of course, it would be nice to talk to them and meet them. Usually we, as we all know, that's gone through a lot of transitions over the years. So normally they do come in and have a little chat with us. Nobody's ever had a problem doing that. Also, you know, like I think that we could actually, if council decided, we could support our residents with their concerns by writing a letter. So that's just my thoughts.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Gordon.
Yeah, before, if I may, before we write a letter, sorry. Before we get a letter set up, I'd like to have clarity on what is being done with this benzene, because part of the letter that I'm reading talks about it being a naturally occurring compound. Another part talks about being part of the process where they've already got regulations in place since 1998 to reduce those emissions. But the concern I do have at the very beginning is the statement that this notice is being posted as the status of this particular dehydrator has changed to operating. But then it says we intend to operate to the same standard as before. So I would like to have confirmation of what they're doing that has changed, if it's changed to operating. So to the point that our CAO has suggested, I would love to have them come in and we can get exactly what's going on. And then during that time, let them know about our residents' concerns and move forward in that regard. There definitely needs to be some clarity about the operation going on.
Yeah, sounds good.
So I'll make that motion.
Yes, please.
That council directs administration to set up a time within the near future for Ranahan Resources to come as a delegation to advise us of what their operations currently are as directly related to the benzene emissions that might be sent into our neighboring communities.
I'm throwing the word educational in there, but
Oh, 100%.
I'm pretty sure they'll get the gist of what we're looking for, so you can clarify that. Okay, I'll let Bernie get that written down and then we'll vote on that. All in favor? Thank you. Heather, good? She's good.
Yes.
Alrighty. Okay, so no further questions. That was it? Right there?
That's it, worship.
Okay, and have we responded to these emails back in kind? Okay, so if we could wrap up exactly that and say that at a future council meeting, that would be the case. Yeah, please. That would be perfect, and then we can invite them to attend that meeting, would be a great way for transparency. Okay, moving on. That was our motion arising, and so that's done. Statutory hearings, we have 4.1, public hearing for bylaw 2024-57 to amend bylaw 9906 Willow Ridge Area Structure Plan, Black Diamond. Alrighty. Let's get to my public hearing map here. All right, everybody, this is where it gets fun, and I have to read these very exciting formatted via the MGA platforms. Opening hearing. I hereby declare the public hearing for bylaw 2024-57 to amend bylaw 99-06, the Willow Ridge Area Structure Plan, Black Diamond, open at 6:45. This public hearing is held pursuant to section 216.4 of the Municipal Government Act to hear representations from the public on proposed bylaw 2024-57. I am Mayor Barry Crane. I'm the chairperson for today's hearing. Will council please introduce themselves, starting from Councillor Gordon, heading south around the corner and right down to the end of administration, please.
Counselor Jonathan Gordon,
Counselor Cindy Holiday,
Counselor Brendan Kelly,
Mayor Crane.
Deputy Mayor Veronica Cleaver,
Counselor Hazel Martin,
Adam Davies, CAO.
Brenda Staples, Legislative Services Manager. Denise Stewart, Planning and Development Officer.
Heather
Craig
Thompson,
Beaton, Civic.
counselor.
Craig Beaton, Civic Operations.
Nicole Malone, Community Services and Recreation Manager.
Excellent. I was coming to you last. I always save the best for last, Heather.
And
Um,
Carrie Florizone Planning Manager.
There you go. See, Carrie's there. That was it right there. There you go. Okay. Moving on. All discussions by council members, administration and speakers shall be directed through myself as the presiding officer during the public hearing. We ask that you respect the views of everyone here and allow each person to speak. You will have 5 minutes for each speaker to make a presentation to council. I ask that you indicate if you are speaking on your own behalf, on behalf of another group or persons, organization. And when you are finished, please remain sitting at the front as council may have some questions for you. Mr. Davey, can you please confirm whether this public hearing has been advertised and notice given in accordance with the requirements of the Municipal Government Act, please?
Confirmed.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Stewart, you will come to front and center. Carrie, how would you like to roll this one? Would you like Denise to handle this one out, or would you like to use the screen here? Up to you.
Yeah, I'll let Denise present, and I'm just here if there are any questions that need stick handling for me.
Okay, excellent, thank you. All right, Ms. Stewart, floor is yours.
Good evening, all. My presentation this afternoon or evening is, the first one is an amendment to the Willow Ridge Area Structure Plan, which is 129 Willow Ridge Boulevard, legally described as Lot 1, Block 1, Plan 001-1520. The area structure plan is bylaw 9906. And what we want to do is amend it to include medium density housing on the southerly end of the lands, which is currently identified as a commercial district. Additional amendments of housekeeping to the area structure plan is to correct the local hospital name and upgrade the description of access roads, as this area structure plan was formed prior to the development of Willow Ridge Boulevard, and as well 418 Avenue, which is also provides access, which was not previously provided in the Willow Ridge area structure plan. If council gives bylaw 2024 57 third reading, then a 1.48 acre subdivision application for multi-family residential development will follow under a separate application. We've talked in the past about the policy review, and that has also been provided in the report. So I'm not going to read everything today. I'll just touch on the highlights. This application was circulated to stakeholders on March 26th for both the area structure plan and future subdivision. Just being frugal with our responses, because the provincial agencies have just been a little in it already and not provide us a response. So done that being one. And it has been circulated in accordance with our advertising bylaw. The notice of public hearing was sent to adjacent property owners on April 8th. The notice of public hearing was also posted in the town website on the 11th and 17th or 18th of April, editions of the Western Wheel. And just some highlights of the circulation responses. Community services want to retain the small time charm and character. Also, their comments also were around residential properties will assist in offsetting the current housing inventory deficit. ATCO is looking for some right of ways. And, pretty standard responses, from the utility companies. We did receive one letter of opposition, which was submitted, and again, because I had sent it for both, sending it to neighbors, to adjacent property owners. That circulation, I included both the area structure plan amendment and redesignation. So you'll see this letter of opposition included in both staff reports. So this letter of opposition is attached. The summary of concerns included the proximity of Highway 22, traffic congestion, adjacent properties use for adult living, and single level housing, and it's currently a quiet neighborhood with close proximity to the hospital, extended care, and seniors lodge. Additional concern over green space, noise pollution, air pollution, utilities, and reduced property values. I did want to, I'll do that in the next one. So, there are options here provided to council with, merits and drawbacks to each application. If there is any questions on the open house, I'm going to respond to them at this time.
Could we just
Very
get
well.
the map put up top here so that we can,
Which one's up?
the map? Yeah. Maps are always good to put up there for the public.
It's one of the attached.
Yeah. It's not, it's, well, here.
Sorry, is there any other one?
It's all good.
Okay. We get us.
It's relevant, but it's not, it's gonna be the same, the entirety.
Yeah, it gives a good idea.
Because there's my second over there.
So like page 63 of 140 has one of them.
Yeah.
Page 64 of 140.
There you go. There you go.
But with the caution, it's not the entirety of the area.
No, I believe the one after that shows the corner that is, there you go, right there.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
So the areas, I'm sorry.
Yep, please do.
Okay, under the Willow Ridge area structure plan that's attachment, it does show you the whole area of the Willow Ridge area structure plan. And then those amendments, and basically it's the entire quarter section.
Yeah.
So it includes, from the, green space and the dry pond to the, southern tip of town.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, questions for planning? Anyone? Seen this once before. Councilor Brown.
Just a quick question, Denise, and I think you've already answered this one in the past, but can you please remind me? How's the road, the 418 Avenue West, has that road been built up for increased traffic?
Through the mayor, no, 418, has not, it's been resurfaced, it's got an oil surface on it, but it hasn't been widened or anything like that. I believe that there's upgrade requirements under the TIA when this commercial, as well as there'll be a new approach off of 418 Avenue. And we did, however, already pay that 5 meter additional land that was referenced in the. So we have taken road widening on the north side of 418 already.
So that will be like an item in the development permit, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, it's not at this stage at all.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
This one for clarity, we're only amending the area structure plan. That's what's before council under this bylaw, so that we can add residential housing as a listed use, but as a use in the area structure plan. That's the part one.
Okay, thank you.
If that doesn't happen, then we need to do part two.
I think that does it.
This mine's- Sorry, listen.
All right, Berna,
I believe Councillor Thompson had a question.
excellent. I was just gonna ask that up intentional. Go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but 418 Avenue is a municipal road, a county, a Foothills Road. So we'd have to work with them, correct, Denise? Isn't that Foothills
Now
County
it's
Road?
town. It's now a town road.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. I was wrong.
Good.
Thank you. Anything else from council? All right, I'm gonna say Brendan has a burning one. Yeah,
Yeah,
ask for clarity.
Yeah, I want to ask for clarity. So because we're doing the redesignation for the entirety of the property, if there's any further changes to the original proposal, so say anything outside of that box, would they have to come back to us? Or could they just build multi-purpose throughout that whole property without having to ask us that question?
That's a really good question.
Okay,
Okay, so the redesignation, the portion that is intended to be redesignated is only within that area that you've shown, that's showing on the map today. So only that 1.48 acre parcel do we want to redesignate.
right. That's the still central business.
The rest will remain,
Commercial.
to Black Diamond Station.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, sounds good. With that being said, Ms. Stewart, I'm gonna say you can go sit down. You're done. Council, any further questions? Yeah, one.
Yeah, and maybe Ms. Stewart or Ms. Flourzel can answer this, just for clarity's sake. It shows that this ASP we're talking about, it's been amended 3 times, 2017, 2019, and then 2001, I assume that what that is. Maybe my dates are wrong. Do you have, and it seems to go in different areas here in this area structure plan, from R3 to high density to low density, from low density to medium density, and other portions. Is this portion that will be identified, has that been changed on multiple occasions as well? Or just within the ASP, we have multiple changes ongoing?
Quick to get out of the hot seat.
Sorry about that.
Yes, so those redesignations.
Gallery, gentlemen, shh. Denise, go ahead.
So those were different areas within the Willow Ridge area structure plan. So, again, it shows the mapping in the attached Willow Ridge area structure plan at the beginning. So, bylaw 0801, that was in 2008. And that was for some, the duplex houses that are at the end of Riverwood
Oh, yeah.
Drive.
Gotcha.
And then, bylaw 0719, that was to provide low density. Basically, that is the Riverwood development,
All residential.
yeah. And then bylaw 0717, that was, realignment, and then that was on the parcels which is directly west of the hospital, which is now R2X and R4. So this one has not been, this subject parcel has not been part of the, of a previous recent. In your structure.
Okay. Now, go again.
Yeah, so it's just spinning. So this redesignation wouldn't change the R2X and the other property R4. That wouldn't change that redesignation or that designation, sorry,
That's correct.
It just-
No change to those lots.
to those lots.
The one that's subject to this application.
Okay.
1.4 acres at the balance at the Very southern.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Denise. Okay.
All right. Hazel gave you the thumbs up, so we're good. All right, now, we're good. Okay. If applicable, the applicant is present. You have a maximum of 20 minutes to make a presentation or add some comments if you wish.
Sure.
Why not? You took the time to come, right?
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, just hit the button. There you go. Perfect. Just introduce yourself.
Yeah, good evening, Chairman, Mayor, members of council. My name is Paul Douglas. I'm the applicant in this case, and I don't want to make a big presentation. I think the staff report covers the relevant items. I did review the package and I note the letter of opposition, and I wanted to just comment on that because I did have some thoughts about just what the letter's addressing versus I think what we're proposing. So in my view, I'd urge you to consider that in the letter of opposition, they seem to be asking for the preservation of open space, but that isn't what we have here. We have already zoned development land, which is currently CB2. We're asking to change a portion of that into R3. The reason we want to do that, just to add some context, is because we have a very large commercial site and we're working hard to sort of see that come to fruition, but it is and remains a very large site. We believe that the commercial element will benefit from more residential sort of in the vicinity. We think it's a complementary use given sort of the other residential development in the area. And we think there's demand for this type of product in the town. And so we're trying to sort of amend a portion of the site where we think we can incorporate some multifamily development so that we can then go out and work with a residential developer to kind of bring that to life. So that's the rationale for our application. And yeah, I think just on the letter, it's worthwhile noting that this is not open space. Currently, it's sort of been functioning as such, but that isn't what it's zoned for. So I'm here to take any questions on this, or I can come back for the subsequent public hearing item 2 if more arises at 4.2.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. Council, any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Councilor Raleigh.
Just looking, when you look from aerial photos, and I know, because I have a mother that lives in that development, that there's, those lots weren't developed because there's water issues, or drainage ditches or whatever. And just looking at the aerial photos, I don't know what there is there. Has that been addressed or looked into?
So as we go through the process of development, so right now we're asking for the idea that this would be an appropriate use in this case. When we move into a subdivision application, that is the process through which the sort of technicals of how this would get developed into that type of product would sort of come up. So where are your utility rights of way? I know ATCO's comment that they'd like to see some right of ways. Well, those get provided at the subdivision stage, not at the planning stage. So we will have to engineer a site plan that would go in the subdivision application and be subject to a staff review and a list of conditions of subdivision, where things like proper drainage, utility rights of way, setbacks from property lines, and all of those sorts of items will need to be designed and then implemented set to meet list of conditions that staff produces with respect to the development being proposed. At this stage, it isn't a particular development. We don't have a layout of buildings and things like that to sort of determine how that will take place. That is the subdivision process. And the development permit process is going to come through with those details that answer questions such as that in terms of where drainage will go and how it will get handled. But certainly if, we can't send our stormwater onto an adjacent property, like that is, that's not an allowable scenario. So if our site has to be designed such that we're directing and handling any overland drainage from our property when we develop it.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah, my concern was only if you're gonna have a big enough space, if that has been looked into Cause you don't wanna have to come back and say, oh, we want a little bit bigger of a rectangle, put it in. I know, I think I'm happy that you brought up that it's not about green space as in the letter of support. We're really debating the hotel idea, cause that's what was approved in that area, an 80-unit hotel versus, you know, you're proposing a 30-unit residential. Right, so that really is a question. I think we all understand that. This is not about green space. This is about hotel versus residential. So, so I'm not concerned.
Anyone else? Thanks for coming. Awesome, excellent. Appreciate investing in the town. All right, moving on again. Mr. Davy, has the town received any written submissions not included in your staff report? And if so, I would ask that you have them read aloud and entered in.
Good night, your worship.
All right. At this point in the hearing, I will call upon anyone wishing to speak on the proposed bylaw. Please note that each party wishing to speak will have one opportunity to do so. If you have not already provided a written submission, or if you have, please summarize your concerns. So anyone in the audience now who would wish to speak can sit right here, note your name, speak to, for, against, it doesn't matter, up to you if you wish. You can if you want. Go ahead.
I don't need the mic, I just need that.
No, you don't, you got a pretty good voice.
I just wanted to put that, in the
Matt?
picture of that, where the proposed housing would go, extra housing. I want clarification, that's what it means.
Sure.
Then from there, I'll got a comment.
Absolutely. Okay, so there's your map, and then next one.
So that's good enough.
Okay.
So that, this small place here, that's in this part, eh?
Yes,
Okay, that's where I say.
yeah, right where the deer
Yeah.
kind of rest on that mound of dirt.
Okay. Yeah, because then in this, and, okay, it's past all this development, I think.
Yeah.
And I guess my concern, this is a concern I have.
Okay.
And you get up to Willow Ridge Road, the downhill portion, there's a great playground for children, many of them. Going to from school, you see them there on skateboards, you see them there on rollerblades, going down the street. So it's a lot of fun, eh? And you're gonna really increase, if you're gonna have an entrance off of this, I understand down here someplace, am I right?
Looks like that emergency route would be opened up, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then you're really gonna increase in the traffic flow because you got as you all know, you got the arena, you got the curling club, you got the schools. And down that area all the time, so that's my concern, bringing extra traffic down First Street here. If you cut it off, might not get as much that way, but it's very active. You have to, and you're gonna have to police it, so.
Excellent, thank you. All right. Oh, sorry, yes, could you introduce yourself just so we have it for the record?
Carl Fisher.
Carl Fisher, there you go. Carl Fisher, I think Vernon knew that. Thanks, Carl.
Trying to get even, that's all.
Yeah, there you go. All right, if there's anyone else in that chat, go ahead. Mr. Little.
I was just concerned, my name's Brian Little, if that's the only block that's gonna be. I'm just wondering if the rest of that field is gonna end up being residential, for a lot of us in Ridgestone Lane. In a duplex. And. Well, we would be opposed if it ended up being a whole bunch of houses there.
Yeah.
Or even 3-story apartment buildings, because that would devastate our view, it would be. The old thing about this little strip mall and grocery store and stuff, that wasn't this. That would be all right, but if it's all residential, that could be a bit much.
Yeah, just for clarity, it's not, it's that square only. So just that square, the rest is all still commercial business. Yeah, just same plan that you saw probably a year and a bit ago, I think. So it's just in that blue square on the end, that would become the multi-housing. Everything else remains the same.
Yeah, but next year we're not gonna make another little square.
That was the question that Brendan has.
That's what I was saying.
To be clear, are you gonna come back and ask again? And the answer was no, so. So, yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. All right, and that's Brian Fisher.
No, Brian Little.
Brian Little. Where'd I get Fisher?
Carl.
Well, I do fish quite a bit.
Compound words, I tell you, I struggle. All you can do. Okay, excellent. Anyone else in the audience? Pat, you wanna have a kick at the cat or no? Can't kick the cats. We don't have a bylaw for that. We're working.
No.
All right. There you go. We're not doing a public hearing on the cats. All right, that's good, that's good, that's good. At this time, I would ask administration if anyone has registered to speak on the bylaw. Obviously, online, we don't have it. Thank you. Last call, anyone in the audience wants to speak, going once, going twice, seeing none, sold. Administration, can you verify that all written submissions have been handled and received, and that all speakers who wish to spoke in the audience have spoken?
Verified, your worship.
Wish to spoke. A good one. I learned them. Final remarks. Does any person who has previously spoken wish to address any new information provided at the hearing? Council may ask questions. If the applicant wishes to speak again for closing remarks, he may. Good answer, good answer. Excellent. Does administration have any closing remarks?
If I may,
Yes, please.
I also have lots to say. Okay, so just a couple of points of clarification.
Okay.
So that emergency route,
Yeah, that was gonna
that
be.
does not form part of this application. So we're not applying to have that open and create a third route or a, like, access into that neighborhood.
Excellent
That
clarity.
doesn't form part of this application. To speak about the drainage issues, it's because it's coming up now, so we can speak about it. Okay, so if you see on the map that's shown right there, there's 8 lots that are currently undeveloped. There is a drainage channel that, a drainage ditch, a concrete drainage that runs behind the developed parcels. So when each of those additional 8 parcels get developed, they need to continue that drainage to create positive drainage to 418 Avenue. But only as each one of those develops. The developer did not provide that drainage through the entire of the development. So the proposed area for the residential development under this area structure plan is adjacent to those last 5 southerly lots. The last 4 of those lots do not have services to them. The balance of Ridgestone Lane does currently. It can be extended, but that's just its current situation. There are pathways on both sides, or sidewalks on both sides of 3rd Street Southwest from Willow Ridge Boulevard and down to the schools. So that pathway is on both sides of 3rd Street. Pathways will become part of this development, overall development. And currently the town would like to see them on the adjacent to Government Road. How do you put it there? That's what has been.
Just carrying from the hospital.
Also in the approval for that commercial development, we need a crosswalk at some point at their approach. So that they can come from the hospital up the 8th sidewalk and then cross into the commercial development. Right, so to address Mr. Little's comments, the rest of the parcel is not the application is not to create residential on the balance of the parcel. The rest of the parcel will remain central, commercial bit, Black Diamond Station 2. So CV2, the Black Diamond Station
district. And those balance uses will continue to apply to the. And that's all comments I have.
Question for you, just a quick one, Denise, if I may, because we know how busy 418 is for walkers already. And the road's probably due for some work, maybe not in the near future, but certainly down the road. Would there, with the residential being at the south end of this property until the rest is developed, or maybe even perhaps before that, is there any plans, and this may come later on in the development phase, would there be any plan to walk between the residential part, 418 down to that fire exit, or anywhere along that southern part of 418 so that residents could walk along that road? Or are they gonna have to walk through the commercial part once it's developed to get to the other road? You know what I'm asking?
Woolridge Boulevard, I think
Yeah.
I do. Okay, so,
Because there's nowhere for them to walk other than through people's vacant lots, pardon me?
Yeah, the town's responsibility to put it in.
Okay. Okay. So something that we'd have to consider.
so the developer will be responsible for creating a sidewalk within his lands. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
If we can get them to develop outside of their lands, we also try to do that.
Okay.
Okay, but it has to be, it has to serve a purpose.
Of
That
course.
has to serve a purpose.
Yeah.
And so, that would have to be demonstrated what purpose it would serve. If we were to ask, would they create a pathway or a sidewalk along, and we could only do it facing the portion.
The south end of that property. Yeah, and I know that's later on. I'm just curious where everyone would walk other than on the road, which is what everyone's been doing on 418 already. And with the higher population, there's gonna be a lot more people walking that street. So just a comment more than anything. I just wasn't sure what we could do, but maybe just have it on the radar during discussion. If there's some agreement that we can come to, maybe to put a sidewalk along 418, at least to the fire exit on 3rd Street, so that people at least have a way to walk to those sidewalks, because I see a lot of people walking through those vacant lots until they're developed, which is probably okay, but just something to consider. Thank you.
Good pass by discussion.
Something.
Excellent, thank you. Anything further for Denise? Hazel?
I think I already know the answer, but I'm gonna ask anyhow. The sidewalk, I know there have been residents up in that area have asked, because there is a fair amount of traffic. Will the developer be responsible for the sidewalk or for the crossing, or will that be up to the town?
The crosswalk crossing that I mentioned on Woolridge Boulevard. That's being developed.
Okay, so that would be the sidewalk crossing from the hotel onto this piece of property, correct?
No, from Woolridge Boulevard, which is at the north end of the screen that you see here. Yeah, okay, and then I'll just demonstrate. So,
Yeah.
right now, the pathway,
Pardon me, yeah.
the better door than a window, pathway ends here. So transportation doesn't want our people to be just dodging across the road here.
Okay,
So we'd like to see the crosswalk, which is proposed, is to go up here, so it'll be in front of the commercial development.
okay,
Okay, so as part of the commercial development approval. We'd also, we have seen with this particular developer pathway going down here. And previously, when we were looking at a hotel there was a pathway that comes from the pathway along the east property line to the hotel development, but nothing on 418 Avenue.
okay. Is there a sidewalk across the road? Or is that just on one side?
No, this is roll curb. This is roll curb here,
Okay,
and so this is the end of the paved pathway right here.
okay,
And there's sidewalk here.
on that side.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Carry that sidewalk down for a
Yeah.
and then cut it.
Yeah.
Some of that, okay, little space.
All
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
development up. Okay,
That would be suggested because that was.
okay, in the essence of time, let's move on. Thank you, Denise, for your clarifying points. Is council satisfied they have obtained enough sufficient information for tonight's public hearing? Thank you. I would like to thank all those who spoke and provided submissions for their comments, for the applicants for attending. Council will take comments into consideration when deciding on this matter later in the agenda. With that said, I declare the public hearing for bylaw 2024-57 closed at 7:20 p.m. All right. Moving on. We have our next public hearing. 1 second. We get to do this lovely thing again. Where's my agenda? No, we all come later. Public hearing, bylaw 2024-50 to amend land use bylaw 2021-06 Black Diamond. I hereby declare this public hearing for bylaw 2024-50 land use bylaw amendment for bylaw 2021-06 Black Diamond open at 7:21. This public hearing is held pursuant to section 216.4 of the MGA to hear representations from the public on proposed bylaw 2024-50. Mr. Davey, can you confirm that this public hearing has been given the proper advertisements given under accordance with the MGA?
Confirm, your worship.
Thank you, sir. Staff report. As you've already met us and our administration, we're jumping straight to Ms. Stewart. Can you please present your staff report and explain the purpose of this proposed amendment?
Okay, so, the second public hearing is to amend the land use bylaw to redesignate that southerly portion from central business district to R3 to allow for multi-residential development. To be noted that there is no appeal to land use redesignation. So what we're requesting is that Schedule B of land use bylaw 2021-06 be amended by redistricting the southerly 1.48 acre portion of lot 1, block 1, plan 1520 from central Black Station District CB2 to R3 multifamily district to accommodate subdivision. If the redesignation is successful, the applicant intends to subdivide for multifamily development. The tentative plan is for a 30-unit townhouse complex, although density requirements and market demands will influence the final design of the housing development, which is to say that this parcel is not large enough for 30 units. We could get 17 if we're using our area for housing unit. That current Black Diamond Station CB2 zoning provides for various uses, but it does not include housing development. I'm going to just skip right down to the circulation responses. So the development was circulated to numerous stakeholders on February 5th in accordance with the intermunicipal development plan. And the notice for public hearing was sent to adjacent property owners on April 10th by regular mail for both the area structure plan amendment and this redesignation. The public hearing was posted on the town's website on the 11th and 18th edition of the Western Wheel, and following, we've got again some circulation comments addressing pedestrian crossing, water looping, connectivity of pathways, and no direct access on Highway 92, not wanting to see direct access on Highway 92. Again, TELUS have asked for a right of way, ATCO Gas have asked for a right of way. To refer to the same letter of concern, one letter of opposition was received. And the concerns, summary of the concerns included proximity to Highway 22, traffic congestion, adjacent property use for adult living, single level housing and quiet neighborhood proximity to the hospital, the long-term care and seniors lodge. Loss of green space, noise pollution, air pollution, utilities, and reduced property value. No, it's redundant, but they're two separate hearings, so we need to go through them. Now, I did talk about that tentative, but where the tentative plan shows, and at this point is where I wanted to reiterate that the parcel is only adjacent to those undeveloped lots. Just to give you a proximity and scope of the size of the parcel. Oh, and the other thing, I'm just gonna do a little run through what the balance of the uses are, because I think it's a concern. Yes, there is a concern. So the balance of the parcel, I'm just gonna quickly tell you what the balance of the parcel with the CD2 lands could be used for, or can be used for applications we can receive. Professional, financial, and office services, retail stores, and public parks. That's fine. Discretionary uses, accessory buildings, alternative healthcare, automotive repair, equipment and repairs, automotive and recreation vehicle sales, amusement establishments, cannabis store, commercial schools, community recreation services, custom manufacturing, drinking establishments, drive-through food, eating and drinking establishments, gas bars, hotels, motels, household repairs, offices, parking, personal services, professional, financial, and office services and support services, religious assembly, drive-through vehicle services, service stations, major and minor, spectator entertainment establishments, utility services, and warehouse sales. That is what can be anticipated on the balance of the parcel. Or this whole of the parcel if it's not re-designated. Option, the staff report for first reading has also been included for your reference. And samples of options have been also prepared and included in the for council's consideration. That concludes my report. If council has any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Seeing as we just went over all the same information with a little added extra, that's fantastic. I will open it up to council. Any questions for Ms. Stewart? Yeah, and then I'll have one for clarity as well.
Did you mention that? No, we're not at the development stage, so maybe I'm just confused. You mentioned 33 units, but there was only room for 17. Did I mishear that?
Okay. So, the proposal or the submission to Alberta Transportation was stated that there was 30 housing units, up to 30 townhomes.
Oh, so that's what they base their information on?
That's what the TIA is. When we take a look at what the square meters is required per dwelling unit, they could put 17 townhouse dwelling units on this parcel or a 22 unit apartment building, both of which are listed usually under the R3 zone.
Thank you for clarifying things. Perfect. That's exactly what I was gonna ask. And maybe later we'll get some clarity on it. Yeah, perfect. Excellent. Heather, do you have anything? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Denise. All right. Applicant. You anything to add? Have you anything to add? I only have one question for you, if I could, and that is exactly what Councillor Brendan Kelly just asked. Obviously, people want to know, they're going to ask us 8 ways to Sunday, what's going there. So what is your vision in terms of unit size? Like, are we talking crossing Tim Hortons kind of style buildings? Just wondered if you got thoughts.
Yeah, so Paul Douglas, so we haven't proposed a layout, and our intention is to work with a building partner would ultimately develop that site. Having said that, our vision and the reason we want to do this is because we think there's space or a place for townhouse style development. So couple stories, park up front, possibly under, we don't know, but that we're not envisioning multi-story apartment style. Our vision is more for townhouse style, not having that, haven't actually made an application to that end. And so just, that's kind of where our head's at in this, and we want to now, if we have to get zoning approval, go to various players in the market to try to figure out what they think.
Perfect. That's a perfect answer. Thanks, Ray.
Thanks.
That's all I wanted to hear. Okay, you do have 20 minutes if you wanted to.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. I like you already. All right, moving on. Mr. Davy, has the town received any written submissions not included in the staff report?
Nothing further.
Excellent, thank you. At this point in the hearing, I'll call upon anyone in the audience wishing to speak. I see one Mr. Fisher and one Mr. Little.
Yep. That was.
Good. Ms. Pat?
No.
All right, seeing none and addressing the only residents here, I will then move on. At this time, I was ask administration if anyone has registered to sign in from, to speak to it who are online.
No, your worship.
All right, excellent. At this time, I would ask if anyone present who has not yet spoken wants to speak yet again. Last chance, last call for alcohol, as it were. Oh, Carl's thinking about it, look at. Yours? All right, sounds good. Administration, any points of clarity you want to lay on the table for us before I move on? Last one, all good?
I think.
I think
we're good.
so.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Davy, can you confirm that all written submissions have been heard and everyone in the audience wishing to be heard has been given an opportunity?
Confirmed.
Thank you, sir. Last chance for the applicant to make any suggestions, submissions, dialogue, talk to us. I'm gonna say you're good. Excellent. Administration, last chance. Say no.
Good.
Good, excellent. Council, do you feel you have obtained enough sufficient information for this public hearing? Sir. Thank you. With that being said, I would like to thank all those who spoke and provided submissions and their comments. Council will take their comments into consideration when deciding upon this matter. And I will declare this public hearing for bylaw 2024-50 closed at 7:32. Excellent. All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving on, delegation. That's how quick we're doing that. Gray Park Delegation, Mary Jane Block, Director of Rural Development and Conservation, Western Sky Land Trust. Chris Matterson, Project Manager. Project. And I don't have the third name.
Oh, I'm Lisa Monahan. I'm with that execution portion.
Perfect. Excellent. You can sit up here too if you want.
Oh, there we go.
All right, guys. Well, I'm just going to give you the floor. Thank you for coming tonight, by the way. I did get the chance to drop into the library on volunteer appreciation that you guys were set up, and kind of that worked out great. So I'll let you guys hit some high points here and wow us.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. We thought we'd take the opportunity to come talk to you once again, because it's been just about a year that we were here to talk to you about the idea of Gray Park, which was a park that consisted of lands owned by the Western Sky Land Trust, as well as some of the park states. And we've been working fairly diligently for the past year on the park, and I thought I'd take a few minutes to walk you through what we've been doing and what we see coming next in the summer. So if I could just have the next slide, please. So this is it essentially. May 15th, I think we were in front of you guys, got approval to go ahead with the idea of the park. And what we've been doing since then is essentially figuring out what we can build, what we can't build. Doing some public consultation. We did a total of 2 public open houses, one in November, and one just the other week at the library. And of course, the requisite regulatory approvals and all that sort of thing. We're now at a point where we are out to tender with some of the first phases of the park itself. Next up, please. So just to give you a taste of some of the issues that shaped the park design itself. Big part of it is constraints. Provincial floodway, the entire park sits within the floodway. That puts some fairly, for obvious reasons, some fairly significant constraints on what we would do down there. We're also, of course, being a natural area and being a conservancy, we want to ensure that we understand and avoid protect sensitive habitats, so we're doing some work on that. And one of the key things for the land trust itself is the rightmost map in green shows the Western Sky property. This was donated to the trust as an ecological gift in 2016. Some fairly strict conditions are put on that we had to ensure that we respected through this process. Next slide, please. So as I said, we did 2 open houses. We also did stakeholder engagement. We talked to some groups in the community. We talked to people one-on-one. We did some work on understanding how people use the park. And we took that as I think some confirmation of the direction that we wanted to go with it. We heard pretty loud and clear. People wanted this kept as a natural area. They wanted to protect it. They wanted a light touch on the landscape. Next slide, please. So with that, we've come up with a park design that includes a trail system that is largely based on the trails that are there now. What we want to do is formalize them to the extent that we can help people navigate the space, understand where they are, draw them to key points in the park itself. But we're going to use infrastructure that is, we think, in keeping with the look of the park. It's going to use natural materials wherever possible, but still provide a sense of space. Next slide. So with that, a lot of the materials that our landscape architect has proposed working with are going to be natural or materials that can blend in that sort of landscape, things like stone, weathered and steel, things like that. The focus for the work thus far is going to be on 2 entry features, and those are on the map on the left. The primary one behind the arena, and then the one a little closer to Lance campground. Next slide, please. So this is a rendering of the primary entry, and from this particular view, you're looking towards the arena. And what you see here is a seating area. There's going to be a sign naming the park itself, as well as a place for us to put information on the park, see there, that sort of thing. And we're also looking at possibly putting in a shelter of some sort, not this year, maybe next year. And we saw that as a bit of a gathering space and also something that can be of use to the pump truck. It is great. So next slide, please. It is looking the other way. The shelter hasn't been designed yet, so it may or may not look like that. But this is just to give you a sense of what it will look like. Next slide. And yet another view from a slightly different angle. Next slide. Secondary entry, this is the one just across from the Lions campground, much smaller in scale. This is the accessible entrance. We have a fairly steep slope behind the primary entrance, but this is also a fairly important access point to the park itself. So same look, same feel, just scaled down. So next slide, please. And again, a rendering. Triangle, and the next slide. And yet again, from a slightly different angle. Another element of what we're doing in the park is the trust law is very important that we actually provide education and protection opportunities to go with this as well. And one of the things we were very lucky to be able to bring on board is Leaf Monahan. Leaf is an educator, a professional interpreter. She's also a resident of Diamond Valley. And she's been a great help to us in figuring out what opportunities there are for education, not only for school kids, but I think for the general populace as well. So she's, please ask her those questions, not me. But she is working on interpretation of school kids and adults. I'm hoping to have some of that a little bit this summer.
Yeah.
Great. So we just touch on that, maybe just not even what's story at number one, and then, what do you kind of envision?
Yeah, so I grew up in Louisville and we moved recently back to the foothills to Turner Valley. I'm currently working with the nature-based program in Percy Keibler. And went to oil fields, so have a great connection with the school here. Yeah, and my passion as an educator has been to connect youth with the landscape through interpretive and experiential education. So this was a great opportunity to come back to my home ground and start something cool that is really authentic and can help kids understand where they live and tell those great stories.
A little bit, well, some ways.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so we're planning, just some of the themes that we're going to talk about is the history of flooding here and water, connecting the kids to the Sheep River. Also looking at conservation issues and about wildlife corridors and connectivity. I'm still looking for a charismatic animal, but I was thinking deer might be a good topic because I'm very relevant in Diamond Valley. And then also looking at beavers and how they engineer the ecosystem. And then the last one is a more self-guided resource for teachers or anyone really to take kids and study the phenological changes or changes of the season. So yeah. Oh, yeah, so yeah, so I just talked about that. So it'll be a mix of guided hikes and experiences for both the public and for school kids that are, and also resources as well. So.
Yes.
This is another thing that we have been doing. We've been doing a bit of community involvement in the park itself. One of the first things we did this summer is you may have noticed that there's been some lawnmowers installed in the two big beaver dams downstream of the causeway. Still not quite working the way we would like them to. But the intent of that is it's a way to lower the water levels somewhat, yet still keep beavers on the landscape. Because a lot of what makes this a significant natural area is the influence of the beavers on the landscape. Hand in hand with that, last September, we spent a lot of time wrapping trees because as we all know, beavers do is they do take down trees. And we had a weekend, I think it was September 30th, that weekend. I remember one day it poured, one day it did not. But we still managed to wrap just shy of 200 trees in the park. There's an hour showing what we did. There's at least that amount more to do. And part of that program is we want to wrap enough trees that we can connect to the Turf Forest canopy, still provide enough woody undergrowth that we will hopefully continue to have health and doing good things that they do in systems like this. Next slide, please. So where we're at now is we, as I said, we've gone out to tender on the construction of the two entry locations. I've been working with Craig on this. He's been very helpful to us in terms of navigating both those processes. Our hope is that we can start construction sometime this summer, and we are hopeful of having an opening sometime in September. Some of the additional work, I mentioned trails, signage, those sorts of things, that's going to also proceed. But our focus right now is get those entries built and then continue on with those. So, and that's it. So happy to take any questions.
All right. Jonathan,
I love it. Thanks so much for the work you've done on this and leading the way for your great family. I'm looking forward to having this in our town. One question I do have, and it's just very minor, just for my clarity's sake, when you have those different entrances there, how close they are to the current pathway, does the Western Sky Land Trust actually the Great Park come right abutting to the existing pathway? Or are we putting some of those entry pieces onto town land?
They are going on to town land.
Okay.
If you look at that map, you can see actually the ownership of the parcel. So green in the center belongs to Western Sky Land Trust. The yellow is town land, and the blue is currently Crown land. So that's the ownership. So the entry features themselves are being built on town land.
Okay, and so follow up then, if I may, the maintenance of those over time, is that town responsibility or is the trust gonna be supporting us in that?
The agreement that we have with the gift is that
So would the town have to be part of that memorandum of understanding?
yes, and in fact, there is an agreement that Craig and I have negotiated, but just haven't signed yet.
So you're getting there. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I just wanted that clarification, so thank you so much.
But it does clarify that infrastructure maintenance.
Perfect, thank you.
I have a question.
Heather. Oh, go ahead, Heather. Yeah, go ahead, Heather.
Has Western Sky considered on staging area, 1, where the steep slope is, to make that a little safer for people such as I to get down it?
Yes, in fact, we spent a lot of time discussing that very issue. And we looked at everything from stairs to a dogleg trail down there. And what we settled on is we want to get the entry feature, the entry feature, that's the term for it, built now. We want to see how traffic shakes out over this coming season of 2025. And then build something that suits the area. We were trying to balance safe access, recognizing that the entry point 2 is generally accessible. And that we also have a mountain bike track right beside that as well. We couldn't resolve that in time to get ready for construction season this year, so we thought we would just get that built, sit back and watch, and then we'll figure out what makes sense.
Thank you.
Hazel.
This is great work. I'm really happy to see this come into our community. Thank you very much for all the work you've done. My only question is on the secondary entry. Where, do you have any plan in place for where there's gonna be like a parking area? Or are people gonna be expected to park along Second Street Southwest?
The assumption that we took with this, because we're not making a wholesale change to how people currently use the area, and that there is some parking already along the street, but also behind. We did not add any additional parking space. One of the other things that is a real challenge for us is the constraints of the land with floodway, the sensitive natural areas, things like that. There isn't a lot of room, so we elected to work with what we had.
Okay, no, that sounds good. Thank you.
Oh, I've just got to say, kudos. The amount of work that you put into this area it's just amazing to see. Like your passion is so very clear in what you do. And it's just great to see people who are passionate about conservation and nature and actually having an opportunity to enjoy it and dedicate into it. And I'm throwing this out for council too, because I think it's a future conversation we should have. So you have your donated section of green, we have our beaver ponds, we have our fed land, our province land, and then we have that strip of yellow, which is really an embankment of trees. It serves no purpose to us, yet the pathway borders it. It's a complement to the park itself. So I would think that this should be something we should look at including into this park to really give it some girth. Some of that area is a little more protected from the flood than some of the other, but I think it's something we could put on a Cal agenda to discuss about moving over to you guys, if you guys are open to that type of having more land for a park. It's just an idea.
Yeah, which portion are you talking about?
The yellow strip,
That's already included.
then it's already there, so.
Yeah.
Never mind that. I thought that was so hard.
We already
Yeah.
made this decision at the last.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we should be throwing this here. There you go. Okay, good. You have that. Then we're done with you.
You already did that last.
All right, excellent. Okay, I was not last one. Okay, in that case, any questions for our fantastic delegation of passionate people? Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, take care. That's too funny, guys. All right. That was too good. Too good.
Yes.
Okay, we are gonna go on to these bylaws again now. So that one's done, that one's done. That one. Motions arising from delegations, we have none. Bylaws policy 6.1. Here we go, 6.1 bylaw 2024. Thanks for coming again, guys. Appreciate it.
Safe driving out there, eh?
Still 6.1, ladies, we're gonna get a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, that council gives bylaw 2024-57. The application to amend Willow Ridge area structure plan, second reading.
Okay, any questions, concerns?
Since I made a motion, I'll
Yeah,
speak to it.
please do.
Fully supported. I think that, the community that, having the residential there will be great. Compliment. To the area, so pedestrian access will, when you come back, we're just giving you the warning, we care about pedestrian access. But super happy to see you investing in the community, so.
Excellent, well said. Any further comments? Heather? Look at
No,
her,
thank
tell
you.
me if she wants to talk. Okay, good, all in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried, thank you. Brendan?
So in these proposed options was, Cindy, you just gave second, I'm gonna give third.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it should be on number one.
It should be.
Yep.
Yeah, I should, okay. The council give bylaw, 2024-57, third reading, and, I will speak to it as well. Also support it. This is definitely the type of development that we need to see more of, and, it's a great piece of property. I was speaking with Councillor Gordon this afternoon as I was rereading the agenda, and residential often complements a lot of the commercial as well, and having that row, or like a townhouse or what have you, right next to a grocery store, walkability, it adds a lot of character to people that don't have a car, or the elderly citizens that we have that are living in the row houses right behind. I really hope to see the full plot get built out relatively soon. I'm sure you do too. But I'm very excited to see this get move forward. So thank you again for investing in the community.
Thank you, well said. Any further comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And that is carried. Thank you, Heather. Okay, that's third, that's one and done. 6.2 bylaw 2024-50. Deputy Mayor.
I have a question, procedural one, and I would like to get the motion. Under the proposed options, is it possible to give second and third reading at the same time?
It requires separate motions.
Oh darn it, because I thought we were gonna save so much.
I'm sorry. They have already been in motion. Yeah.
But instead I have, I'm gonna speak to it.
Okay.
Thank you. So I will make the motion that council gives bylaw 2024-50 second reading. And I just want to say, based on the TIA alone, I think residents adjacent are going to find that traffic is not anything compared to what the hotel would have brought. I think this is the better option.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
I'll set that again.
Any further comments? Councillor Gordon? Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. Heather?
Aye.
Okay, good. Thank you. And I'll take Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, and I'll give the bylaw 2024, it's third read -50, it's third reading, please. And to echo what council was already said, not to be overly redundant, but this is really what is important and needed in our community. And also supporting the development as far as commercial plot is there, as Councillor Kelly has already indicated. Studies show that having the complementary needs together in an area like this is super beneficial. And I think that will attract the investment the developers looking for. So I think it's a wise move.
Excellent. Thank you. Seeing any, not hearing any, all in favor?
Aye.
That is carried. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. All right, moving on. 7.1. Why don't we take a 5-minute bio? That's almost right? Right? Quick 5 minutes. Thompson. We're gonna reconvene now at 8:05, a little 5-minute extra. All right, first up, we have the ice plant in the arena. Mr. Davy.
Hey, your worship, I'll turn it over to Craig.
All right, Craig, front and center, hit the mic for the audio, and we're gonna go.
Good evening, everyone. Through the chair, I just wanted to bring a request for decision and a slight update on our progress with the ice plant replacement project. Try and be short and sweet on this. I think everyone has the general concept of what's happening here. This project started roughly 5 years ago with Black Diamond Council. It's been carried forward. Inflationary costs weren't really fully captured when we entered into this budget season. Upon construction, inspections of the facility for starting the project and getting this off the ground, it was determined that the electrical system in the facility doesn't meet the required standards or the current codes, and the current setup will not support feeding new infrastructure. So the entire electrical system in the mechanical room will need to be upgraded. So we're at a shortfall of $450,000 to complete this project. Furthermore, the one big hurdle that's sort of stopped the completion of it or moving forward on this project immediately this season was the ability to receive all the hardware or the equipment in a timely fashion that we would confidently complete this project before the next ice season. The last and most important piece of the components wouldn't be available to us until sometime in November. So we naturally would have delayed the project anyways. So with that said, my request is that we receive approval to carry forward with the ordering of this equipment and performing as much construction work that we can this summer with things like trenching, plumbing in ground, electrical through conduits through ground, concrete pads, so we can set some of the equipment when it does arrive, so that come, say, April of 2025, we've got everything in place, we're full go, and we should be testing and operational by August of 2020. So the request would be to move ahead with the approved budget that we have for 2024. And then in 2025, for the 2025 budget process, we would bring forward an additional request for $450,000 for 2025 to complete this project.
Okay. Council, Martin, lead us off.
Thank you very much, Craig, for your report. I just have 2 questions. It's in there, you go let the Hockey Association know of your plans. Have you also let the Foothills Skating Club know?
Through the chair, Councillor Martin, no, we haven't communicated with any other user group at this time. The only reason we started communicating with the Hockey Association is through the, I don't know which level of association this is, but through the Hockey Association, they are required through Hockey Canada to guarantee certain parameters for registrations and bookings. Furthermore, the fear of losing some of their membership, if we had some problems, some of that membership may have left them for other association areas, which would have really hurt their association. So we did communicate with them simply because there was a lot of anxiety around our project and how that might affect them. So we did meet with them, and we sort of satisfied their concerns, and with this project, it will not affect that association, nor will it affect the figure skater or any other groups.
And secondly, for the chiller or refrigeration unit, has that already been purchased and paid for?
No, it has not. That is sort of the question I'm asking right now. If council approves moving forward with spending the approved 2024 ice plant budget with 2025 budget preparations, that we would be putting forward an additional $450,000 to complete that project.
So that cost of the refrigeration is probably about 1.1 million, is that correct?
That's the current approved. The total cost would be closer to 1.6.
1.6 million? And
By completion, yes.
And that loses 450, or is that an additional one?
So we have an approved 1.153 million right now. I would be asking for an additional 450 at 2025 budget.
So I would like to ask, and I'm gonna probably ask for a motion, is that we look at funding and we go through the Municipal Climate Change Action Center to apply for funding towards the refrigeration portion of the project.
Yeah, we can entertain that, no problem. Let's save the motion till the end though. Let's keep on the questions for now. So thank you. We will come to that motion at the end of questions and Brian, Renee. Oh, sorry, Heather or Verna? We'll go Veronica and then we'll come to you, Heather. Veronica.
So this project is feeling a little bit cursed. Let's say you get a motion and you move forward with this phased thing and the refrigeration unit doesn't show up till 2026 in the spring. Can you put a clause in the contract with them that you're out, you have a drop dead date that has to be here? And if so, all this outlay that we're doing for the underground and the conduit and stuff, will that fit any refrigeration unit or is it specific to this refrigeration?
Great question. Through the chair, Councillor Kloiber. Short answer is yes. If we do any infrastructure work, in-ground work, that should be compatible with any changes or adjustments. We have received assurance from our contractor, because this is part of the stipulation before we started anything. I made it very clear to our contractor, if we were going to miss the mark on receiving any of our equipment, we would have to postpone this project. So they did a lot of heavy work to make sure that all the suppliers were going to be able to supply all the necessary components to complete this project. And the one piece that they were having a hard time with was the chiller. So that is the outstanding piece, and they've been told that it would arrive in November once ordered. Now that lead time may change depending on the outcome of the approvals, but it would only be, a short adjustment.
Heather, go ahead.
Thanks, Craig, for your report. It's really, really disappointing. But I understand it. It's just disappointing that the electrical mostly wasn't discovered sooner when this has been actually in the planning stages for 5 years. I totally support the additional $450,000 to be placed in the 2025 capital budget. I also support the idea of staff trying to find some grant money to support this additional funding. I recognize that there may not be grants, so to include it in the capital budget 2025 capital budget would be great. And then if staff could look into some grants, that would also be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Further comments?
Yeah, I'm in the same, and this doesn't light your feet, Craig. this is something that that we were trying to tackle pre-amalgamation. So I definitely echo a lot of, Counselor Thompson's, comments, but really appreciate the work that you're putting in and your transparency. You've been very clear with us, even though this is gonna be a big pill to swallow come 2025 budget time. More so for administration, you know, outside of grants, like sponsorships, like anything that we can really, like anything we can get our hands on here. Because we've got to raise some awareness. This is gonna come up. Like, this is not a small amount of money. $450,000 is quite a bit of our budget. So anything that we can do to raise awareness for the rink, if we can get some, you know, some local or even outside sponsorship. Hazel always brings up oil and gas, and I think that that's one of the big things here. We'll put up some big signs if we have to in the rink. Because
I'm with you on that, Brandon. Brandon.
What's that? Yeah.
Also, another comment to go along with that. Maybe the user groups could be approached to start doing some fundraising. That's how that arena was built.
Yeah, because what's gonna happen here is we're gonna have to raise rates. So it's gonna be one way or the other. Either we're gonna be looking at the user groups that are gonna have to look at some dramatic increases here. Or to your point, Heather, we're gonna have to get them involved earlier on with the sidebar that we'd like to keep the rates as low as and competitive as possible. But we need to, whether it's bottle drives or, you know, some sort of hockey tournament once a year where we can pool some money together. I skated on that ice all winter and there were times where it was not safe. Yeah, it was, we had some pylons out some games because it's tough to manage the weather, and sometimes the chillers aren't working properly in one spot or another. You get some really rough patches. So yeah, there's definitely some other concerns, but you know, the point being, I appreciate it, Craig. I just kind of, you know, getting in when we were still Black Diamond, it would have been nice because we were only talking about $1 million mark. Mind you, the electrical hadn't been noted at that point either, but there was grants available back then that we didn't jump on. And so thanks for everything. And I'm in support of this. I just don't know how this is gonna look come 2025.
Go ahead, CAO, and then we'll go to Councilor.
Thanks, your worship. Just for this, I just recommend to council again to keep these pieces separate. So this is capital, you need certainty on that for funding. Hear you loud and clear on sponsorship. We're looking at a policy right now, but to give you an idea, your cost recovery on sponsorship is next to nil. So this is just a large cost you have for a very old facility. So that's quite the trade-off. In terms of other grants, though, we can absolutely look at them, but I would just suggest having those separate motions. So it's not tied to the grant. So normally whenever you have a grant that says climate change into it, it's normally tied to other stipulations, which will increase the overall cost. So we'll definitely look at it, but just always kind of keep that in the back of your mind that every grant is tied aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we're doing for climate action, then it has to be subsequent. Precisely, exactly. Matching dollars.
Okay, great for trees.
So I was gonna speak to that briefly, so thanks for mentioning that. You know, grants are awesome, but quite often they're, quite often they have a matching dollar based on what we're doing on our end, so thanks for that. You know, there's a big time lesson learned here for council, this council, but also future councilors. We're about 1.5 years away from the next election. Be very cautious about kicking things down the road. It's very disappointing that this happened. Question I have though, another caution here is what you have reflected in point number 2. I mean, I'm really gobsmacked that the electrical systems weren't considered. I've done 1 year of electrical a few years back, and the code changes. When I did that in 2015, the code had changed almost 3 times in the last 18 months prior to that. So that wasn't even factored in. That's a flag to some form, shape or form. Second concern I have, and I would like to know, what was the budgeting estimation process on this? Because we definitely missed the gap. I get inflationary pressures, that can happen unexpectedly. You know, that's why replacement cost calculations always have an inflation factor. But, what was the, you know, because we had a presentation a couple of years back, gave a promise that, hey, there should be grant money for this. We've got X amount of dollars in the reserves for it, and it shouldn't be that excessive. That's a pretty significant hit. I mean, we're looking at almost another 25% or more. In fact, almost 50% more. So what's the budgeting process so that we can be certain that what's being presented, we have confidence that that's the reality?
Thank you, Councillor Gordon, through the chair. That's a very valid concerning question. I can't speak to the process prior to say August, September 2023. This was an inherited project, and most of what I received was already researched and in place. So I ran with what was pitched, and unfortunately, when we started the process and awarding and brought in the contractors to start doing their construction reviews and prepping all their subs and, reviewing the site, these were the things that were found. So it is unfortunate, and we do a lot of generally, when we're doing a capital project, there's a lot of due diligence involved, depending on what kind of project it is, determines how much due diligence we do and what kind of due diligence we're following up with, whether it's engineering, architectural. Either way, we do a lot of research onto the project so that when time comes to tendering that work, we've flushed out all the hazards or the liabilities. And unfortunately, in this one, I think that there is a significant gap of time in where the initial work was done and then it got rolled down the road. I don't know how inflationary processes were incorporated, if they were at all. And then I am surprised that somewhere along the line, the electrical was missed. So unfortunately, short answer is I don't have a great answer for you on that one.
Yeah.
For this particular project.
Quick follow-up though, and I really appreciate that, Craig, because you identified, and the reason I asked that question is primarily for us to answer our residents with, what is the process we follow? There always have to be those checks and balances, bringing in the experts that are needed at the time before it even comes to council, right? So knowing what you said there, thank you very much. I appreciate that confirmation.
Yeah, no problem. And for reference, I mean, a project like First Ave, due diligence would involve inspecting the infrastructure itself. We would send cameras down sewer. We would do leak detection on water. We'd identify how severe the issue is. We would bring in the engineers. We would review all the liabilities, identify all the shallow services. We workshop all of the impacts that would be anticipated, such as resident impact, project incidentals, so on and so forth. And then when the day comes to tendering, we've kind of got a pretty good picture of what's going on. And then through the tender process, there's a pre-tender meeting with all the contractors because they're the experts in that industry. So we have that meeting with our engineers and town officials to make sure that there's nothing we missed in that tender process, so we can make amendments to that tender process. And then once the project's awarded, there's an additional pre-construction meeting to boots on the ground, walk up and down the streets, make sure that there's nothing new or changed or something that we might have missed. So that's the general process. And on the later part of this process with the awarding of the contract and then doing the site boots on ground inspections, that's where we found the problems on this particular project.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Councillor.
Thanks, Craig. I'd be more than happy to make a motion here. The council approved the proposed phased approach to the ice plant capital project and authorized CAO Adam Davy to sign the ice plant replacement proposal for the phased approach. And again, thanks again, Craig.
Thank you.
Definitely not an easy ask.
Any further debate? Sir. Okay, all in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Martin, I think Councillor, or see how Dave said, keep it broad. Let's just keep it to go after grants. You know, some.
That council asks administration to look for any grants to help with cover the costs of the refrigeration project.
All right, any comments, questions, concerns? Councillor Martin, I identified the climate change one. I'm sure there's probably one in there, but there's several and yeah, let's have them look after them. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Craig, yeah, no, never mind. I'm good. It's not a question for in public. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to really thank administration for the work they've done on this. And I know that you folks are really full capacity and looking for grants is going to take time away from what you're already doing. But I think it's only fair that our residents start, that we start applying for some grants to help offset some of these things.
Thank you. All right, moving on, community support grant. Yes, please.
Okay, the council approved the Sheep River Health Trust Community Support Grant application request in support of the Radiothon fundraising initiative in the amount of $750. No further comments.
Thank you, council. Any questions, concerns? Hazel.
I'd just like to make a friendly amendment to that. That council approved the Sheep River Health Trust Community Support Grant application request in the amount of the support of the Radiothon fundraising initiative in the amount of $500. Really between the $750 and the $500, there's just, I think, 2 60-second radio alert.
Would you accept that friendly amendment or I can have it voted on?
And yes, can we be able to speak to it? Because I'd like to see how this council feels before I accept it. If anyone else has a comment.
I'm fine with $750. They do good work.
I'm fine with $750 as well.
Yeah, question.
Sure.
Good. I should have had this ready to go already. I just kind of think we've been doing 500 on average, haven't we?
Yeah.
That's what our consistent number has been, so I just wonder if that's something we should consider as a council to be consistent with what we've done in the past.
Ask a question, Monique.
Absolutely.
Have we in the past done 750? I can't recall prior to amalgamation.
No, thank you, Councillor Kelly, for the question through the chair. I believe that typically there's 2 asks annually. So one is the Avenue of Trees, if you recall that one.
Yeah.
And that one's a hit and miss. And then the other one is this radiothon. It was $500 in the past. So total ask annually of $1,000, but 500 on this one. This is a new amount.
Okay, thank you, Monique. I'd be fine to accept the friendly amendment. If everyone's okay with 500. Okay, that's fine with me. Okay, I accept your amendment. Hazel.
Okay, the friendly amendment for 500 is accepted by the mover. Any further comments? All in favor? That's approved for $500. Okay, SDAB member resignation. Oh, I didn't ask. So, who do we have here? Let me read. Mr.
Were you a phone?
Derek Jack. Derek. Just Derek. Well, that's not how it's spelled in Newfoundland, I can assure you that. Go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
I'll put the motion forward that council accepts the resignation of John Derrick from the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board and directs administration to send a letter thanking him for his years of service to the board.
Thank you. All in favor? I would make a motion that we advertise for another position. Doesn't need to. All discussed?
Hold off on that, if that's okay, because we're just waiting for the final draft of the agreement to come forward, so we'll have the pool available.
Excellent. All right. That motion was carried. Economic Development Advisory Committee, EDAC resignation, Deputy Mayor.
And the motion that council agree to accept the resignation of Amy Bates from the Economic Development Advisory Committee and that council direct administration to send a letter thanking her for her service to the EDAC.
Excellent. Any comments?
That's your job.
You gotta wonder why they're all resigning.
Seeing a lot of resignations the last few weeks.
Specific to that committee or just in general?
Both.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe.
Yes.
I didn't even say it. I was just asking a question.
Very well. All right. All in favor? And let's make sure we get a letter off to Amy.
Aye.
Thank you. We can sign that up. Okay. Moving on, health and safety report system replacement. So we're getting away from the lighthouse onto, I'm gonna let you introduce this, Mr. Davy.
Yeah, thank you, your worship. So health and safety reporting software, regulatory requirement. Before we used what was called Lighthouse, a vendor which has since gone under, so they are expired as of October. I went through an RFP process and administration wants to move forward with a new vendor for a 5-year term. So the price difference for 24 is 25,000 in new money. Next year in 25, it's 25,000 minus the 7,500 we would have paid. And then every subsequent year thereafter, it's $5,000 cheaper than what we're currently paying. Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a transition period for here too. And if this goes well, there's potentially up to 5 more municipalities that will jump on board, which may offset our future costs as well.
Well, that sounds like a good news story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns? It's kind of a done deal. One, Cindy, yeah, go ahead.
That council authorizes administration to enter a 5-year contract with a selected vendor to provide a replacement OHS reporting system and to make necessary budgetary adjustments to include the 25,000 2024 costs and $25,000 in 2025.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. All right, and Snip Spot Counselor Kloiber, puppies for all.
That's what I said?
No.
Okay, good.
Sorry, worship, you had 7.6 was added.
Yes, yes. 7.6, Bill 20, I just put that 7.6. 7.6, Bill 20, Miss Counselor Thompson. You can lead us off, seeing as you have some notes, and we will flow into the conversation after you.
Thank you, Mayor Crane. Really, after I read what Verna's notes that she made and reading Alberta municipalities notes and the actual notes from the municipal affairs, my only concerns are the overreach when regarding bylaws and of course the declaring candidacy for a certain party. I totally agree with Mayor Crane when he actually said that in order to do our jobs, we have to look at, it don't belong. Provincial politics don't belong at the municipal level, is what I'm trying to say. And I think that would be the case. So you're basically electing your council based on which party they favor. And I don't agree with that at all. So I just wonder if like when it comes to the May the 6th, second reading. I think that we have Alberta municipalities on our behalf, and many of the different municipalities have loud and clear said that regarding the politics at the municipal level. So I'm just not sure what further we can do at this point, other than to write the minister and our MPs and MLAs, and again, have it in writing so that they know that we're not in favor of this. But like I said, reading 2 will be the determining factor, I think, on this.
Thank you, Heather. Council, I'll open it up to you. I definitely made my points clear with the Western Wheel article, so. Brendan.
Yeah, I echo all the same things, Councillor Thompson, and what you mentioned, Barry. Barry and I were just having a little bit of a sidebar about, not only one, like, if you have to affiliate with a party, you're also easily removed as a councillor under the same bill. They can just cherry pick out of there. So I don't know, Heather, because a lot of that sounded like a motion to me in terms of a letter. I don't know if we want to put that into a sentence or two and address some of those concerns that you've listed, because I agree with all of them, and I don't know, I believe Mayor Crane does as well. So I think that we can probably streamline much of this conversation unless there's a bigger picture here that other councillors want to talk about, but I'd be happy to support a letter with those notes that you brought forward, Heather.
Yeah, and including the one of them being able to remove councillors. Know that the struggle municipal affairs is the process that they have to go through to have, as we saw with Chestermere, that was a lengthy process and a very, very costly process to the province. And I get it, but I think that is the way it should be completed, is through the municipal review process, and then the Minister of Municipal Affairs making the final decision. So I'd like more information on that, because I'm just not 100% sure what it means and how it would work out if that is, because I think to be fair, you need to go through the process, because what I'm seeing now in my observations is when they're going to do this recall legislation for councillors and mayors, sometimes it's just simply based on, I don't like her or him. There's no meat to the recall. And so they're going out here gathering all these votes, and it's simply because of the person. So I think that's a bigger question.
Yes. I'm going to go to Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, I share the concerns that I've already mentioned. I do think what's interesting, and I'm just doing research to learn more. Several municipalities, at least 4 large municipalities in BC, have those municipal political parties at that level. Based on the research I've done up to this point, the reasoning behind that is quite often the support behind, like what we just saw in Calgary, where news had come out that almost $2 million of union money was funding Yodi Gondik's campaign when she ran for mayor, and that only came out after the fact. So when I look at some of the movement made in what this bill is proposing, such as allowing $5,000 to be coming from businesses, corporations, or unions, so long as they're noted. I do understand the premises. One of the things with political parties, if you present your affiliation, that quite often leads to a better understanding, a clearer understanding of an ideology. So these political parties aren't necessarily named NDP or Conservative or Liberal. They have different names to them, but it's based on a platform that identifies your actual ideology. And that is a concern that we hear on the municipal level quite often, that you're voting more of an ideology than a resident concern. And in bigger cities, that is a concern. That's why they're running that pilot in Calgary and Edmonton. So I would have, the jury's still out for me on the municipal political party level because of that very truth. I think allowing that funding so that it, as long as it's identified, because there's money in politics already. I think that's a supportive thing. So speaking of what Councillor Thompson said, I read the report that our legislative services manager did, as well as what was presented by EB Muni's. I share many of those concerns. I don't want them meddling into our bylaws. That's a major concern of mine. I would love our letter to stress that. Bylaws presented at the municipal level are for the autonomy of. Minister MacGyver has my LinkedIn private message that I've sent him. He has seen it. And I shared those concerns with him regarding that because I do not want to see those elements brought forward. There's reasons why we create our bylaws, like we have 2 bylaws today. So if this legislation comes forward, potentially they could say, well, we don't like that bylaw. Why not? Give us some points of reference. So I would love the letter to clarify that about the bylaws, and then cleaning up the removal of a candidate or of a counselor. I think there needs to be some teeth to it. But in the manner in which they have outlined the conditions for it first. So those would be the 2 major concerns I have with this proposed legislation, that I think in a letter we could delineate exactly what our concerns are and be specific in it. I would love to see that put out prior to May 6th.
Excellent comments. Deputy Mayor.
I'd be happy to include in the letter what the lobbyist group formerly known as the AUMA outlined in the email Verna sent to us. They had it nicely set up and, opposed for these reasons, in support. And then I don't know if Verna would feel comfortable including any of her research. I didn't compile them together. I just read them separately. And yeah, the main concern for me would be the political parties. So let's just say I fly socialist colors now and again. I just voted against the community support grant. I vote against it every time. And if someone voted for me thinking I was going to be a socialist type and vote for this type of thing, I would be in trouble. And not to oust anyone's personal beliefs at this table, but you're all voting to spend public dollars on community stuff, which is very socialist. So that is ridiculous. That Bill 20 has 3 parts, and I don't know what they're up to reserve something altogether. That's my thought.
Okay, well, I think we do want to go ahead with a letter. What really needs to be agreed upon. So we could do that. We could start with the AUMA, the former points in that letter. We can add Councillor Gordon's concerns, which she just iterated, and Heather's. My one statement that I would add would be, you've missed the mark. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not an affront. It's not to say you guys are doing a horrible job. It's just, this is not something that was needed or wanted. This was something that you guys brought forward, and you're getting a lot of pushback from a lot of important people. I think you missed the mark on it. So simple as that. But where do we want to go on this? So do we want to get one drafted, because we only have 5 days? Do we want to have Verna draft one? We can send in a bit of Q&A to it. Two kicks at the cat, like.
We'd have to have something in by tomorrow.
Veronica, do you want to draft one and send it around to council, and then we can bounce it over to Verna so she's not having to do too much? Mr. Davey?
Okay.
Yeah.
Send it to everybody, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, send it to our MOAs.
Our
Well,
MLA.
we'll see. I'll see RJ on Sunday.
He didn't respond to the Metro Student Center. Was it?
That's with Alberta. That was changing yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't wait.
She was going to send us the link to
Sorry.
later.
I know,
Yeah.
that's something, that's what I said.
Do you think there might be any change after our webinar tomorrow?
I doubt it.
You doubt
That
it?
webinar is being held by a legal and lobbyist group. And so
All right, let's make this simple. Let's just make a motion and we'll vote on it. And then that'll set the work and then we'll get a draft going. It all gotta just go to draft, Verna.
before you make your motion, can I ask which bits of the AD Munis notes that you want to have included?
I was just gonna say as attached and
Attached?
outlined by AV meetings, so they don't have to write as much.
It's, yeah, your worship, I think the idea is we keep this generic, so want to get it.
Yeah.
I think we understand the intent.
Yeah.
We'll share it once and then just launch.
Cindy.
Like, very concerned about, like, our top two, that we're concerned about. The parties and we're concerned about, we're political interference on our bylaws. No said.
Yep.
We have concerns.
Yes, no, get on to the point.
Yeah, because
Is that something what AD
meeting right now.
Yeah, your worship, it's the intent here, right? Because you're gonna have 160 other municipalities probably saying similar, so that's.
You're not gonna read, just, yeah, 2 bullet points, we're concerned about this and this.
I think they'll read it.
Yep, keep it simple.
The Associate Minister of Health called me yesterday.
There you go. Heather said, keep it simple. Heather, give me a motion.
You want me to make a motion? That
Sure.
that a council direct administration to prepare a letter to the premier, the minister, our MLA regarding our concerns around Bill 20. I don't know what more you want me to add, but I think the concerns have
that's
been
it.
picked up.
Perfect. All in favor?
Concerns and questions regarding Bill 20.
Perfect. Now vote yes, Heather, say yes. Thank you. That's scary. Okay, we are going to move into closed session. Oh, no. Now we're going to snippet spot puppies for all by Councillor Kleiber. Okay. 8.1. Yours. Yeah.
Right on.
That's all you need to do.
No one read it. No one could read? Do I have to read it?
No,
Just
I
read
read
the
it.
last motion, that you're gonna. Council direct administration for 2 quotes for fencing the perimeter of 150 Third Avenue Northwest. Review the insurance provided by Smith Spot along with any requirements of the app for being imposed and further direct the administration report back to council at June 19, 2024 council meeting.
Love it.
So let's get into this. Fantastic.
Thanks for giving you kudos for bringing that forward.
Kudos for 6 whereas.
Oh, well, Vernon helped.
That's.
She sent me a pen thing.
We don't vote on this until the next meeting, correct?
Councillor,
Well, I have things to discuss that.
Councillor Wilkie has the record, so you didn't quite get there.
There you go. Yeah. No, probably
I'm
30.
thinking close to 12.
Yeah. We're gonna go to moving camera in closed session here at 8:48. All right, all in favor to go in close? They're gonna be going.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The first